The economy and jobs are the top issues this political season. They'll be a major focus in tonight's Republican presidential debate, and they'll also play a leading role in tomorrow's presidential address to a joint session of Congress. With that in mind, we're joined right now by Iowa Governor Terry Branstad, whose caucuses traditionally signal the start of the presidential primary season. Now, the state's job market is among the strongest in the nation, a 6% jobless rate compared to 9.1% nationally, and an average 0.5% growth in payrolls month to month. Governor Branstad, great to have you here on Street Smart. So let me ask you right out of the gate, I mean, what's the best policy in your view to help corporate America, to help them create more jobs?
Reduce the tax and regulatory burden to make our country more competitive. Our corporate income tax is among the highest in the world. We penalize companies for bringing profits back from overseas and investing in this country. And we need to approve the free trade agreements and some of the regulatory burdens in the banking industry, the EPA or whatever, are stifling. Fortunately, the president just backed off of the EPA regulations that would have closed half of the power plants in my state. But we also have the rice rules they're trying to impose on these generators that are used only as backup generators. It isn't cost effective, and it's going to cost our consumers a lot of money. Those kind of regulations are stifling.
Governor Branstad, two things. First of all, many would say that the lack of regulation got us into the financial crisis that got us to this position today where we are, where there's still a lot of people unemployed. Secondly, you talk about repatriation.
I disagree with that.
Well, why?
I think the federal government encouraged people to get loans that didn't have any equity, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all of these federal organizations were in cahoots with the banks in encouraging them to make these loans and sell it to them. So I think the federal government played an important role in that, and now they're blaming our community banks that weren't involved in that, and we are being stifled with these regulations. I'll tell you, the people they're punishing are the community banks out here in the Midwest heartland of America. Those are the ones that we got to count on to lend money to the private sector to create jobs.
What do you think about the way Washington is dealing with the banks right now as far as encouraging lending? Is it going to happen?
It's a disaster. What they've done in Washington has been counterproductive, and it's tightened up credit, and private sector people can't get any lending out here. So what they've done is just the wrong thing. They need to give these community banks some opportunity to make some loans, and also they need to business people are afraid to make investments because Obama's health care costs and because of the other regulations being imposed on them by so many of these federal agencies. We need relief from both taxes and regulations. State after state is working to do that, but the federal government is. When I was governor before, we would beat Canada, and now the Canadian dollar is stronger than our dollar, and companies are looking at moving from the United States to Canada. When I was governor before, we got 6 automotive component parts companies from Canada to move here: IPSCO Steel, Skyjack, which makes the scissor lifts, all of those companies. And now I have American companies say, well, I think you have a good story to tell about Iowa, but if they don't reduce the federal corporate tax, we're going to move to Canada because the Canadian tax is now 18%. They're going to 15%.
Let me ask you, Governor, because I think the chances of a turnaround on regulation from this administration obviously unlikely, but the tax question, even the Republicans that Carol and I have spoken to are unwilling to budge, to change the tax code. It seems to be the gravy train for Washington, and they don't want to cut it off. What do you think about that?
I think that's a mistake. I think we need the free trade agreement with South Korea and the other free trade agreements approved, and we also need to reduce this corporate income tax. It's all the business people I talk to, including the last person you talked to from the Silicon Valley, have all said it's the corporate income tax that is really hurting our companies that are trying to compete in this world economy.
So, Governor Branstad, just got 20 seconds here. So we talk about your state having the lowest unemployment rate. What's the one key policy, if you could single out one, that really has helped put you in that position? Just quickly, please.
Well, the strength of agriculture, but I have a goal of 200,000 more jobs, and we're working to reduce the tax and regulatory burdens in our state. We're doing a systematic review and sunset of all regulations and looking at what's cost effective and what will help business to grow and expand in Iowa. We got a great workforce, and we're also working to revitalize our education system.
Got it. Hey, Governor, thank you so much for joining us. Governor Terry Branstad, their Republican governor